The inspection report is not what kills most deals. I have seen buyers walk away from great homes because of an inspection report. And I've seen buyers move forward on homes they probably should have never purchased. What's interesting is that in both situations, the inspection was not actually the problem. It was how they reacted to it. If you are buying your first home, this is one of the most misunderstood parts of the entire home buying process. Everyone talks about getting pre-approved. Everyone talks about making an offer. Everyone talks about getting the keys, but almost nobody explains what happens after your offer gets accepted. And honestly, this is where things get real. Because now you're not just deciding if you like the house, you're deciding if it's actually a smart purchase. So today I want to walk you through exactly how the inspection process works, how to use it to your advantage, and some of the biggest mistakes I see buyers make. And trust me, understanding this can save you thousands of dollars and a whole lot of stress. First things first, never, and I mean never, waive your inspection contingency. I do not care how competitive the market is. I don't care what somebody tells you. At the end of the day, you need to know what you're buying. Because once you remove that contingency, you're basically saying, I'm okay with whatever I find. And that's not a position I ever want my buyers in. So let's talk about how this works. Once you're under contract on a home, you'll have a period of time to investigate that property. That's your due diligence period. This is your protection window. This is your opportunity to step back and ask, what am I actually buying here? During that time frame, you'll have different contingencies depending on your contract. Maybe it's your inspection contingency. Maybe it's your appraisal contingency. Maybe it's your loan contingency. Maybe it's reviewing the seller disclosures, title work, or HOA documents. But today we are talking specifically about inspections. During that period, you have the opportunity to bring in professionals and evaluate the property. Most buyers know about a general home inspection, but there are sewer inspections, mold inspections, pest inspections, roof inspections, pool inspections, meth inspections, and several others depending on the home. And this is where I see buyers get themselves into trouble. They think the goal is to find absolutely everything before making a decision. So they immediately start ordering every inspection imaginable. And I understand why. They're thinking the more information I have, the better decision I'll make. And this does sound logical, right? But here's my approach. Start with the general home inspection, then let the house tell you what it needs. I'm going to say that again because it's important. Let the house tell you what it needs. The general inspection is your starting point every single time. That inspector is going to evaluate everything they can reasonably see. And that is an important distinction. They're not opening walls, they're not tearing apart the home, they're not digging under foundations. They're evaluating visible systems and looking for signs of a bigger issue. They're checking the roof, the structure, the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC system. They're testing outlets, running faucets, looking at the attic, looking inside the attic, checking for visible concerns. Think of it like a basic stress test for the house. Now let me prepare you for something, because this is usually the moment buyers panic. That inspection report is probably going to be long. I'm talking 30 pages, 40 pages, 50 pages, sometimes even more. And if you've never seen one before, that can feel very overwhelming. I have had buyers call me after reading the report and say, Sarah, I think we need to cancel. This house has so many problems. Then we go through the report together and realize most of it is normal. Home ownership stuff, a loose outlet, a missing GFCI, a door that sticks, a cracked tile, minor maintenance items. One of the best things you can do if your schedule allows is attend the inspection. Even if you can only be there for part of it, walk through the property with the inspector after they're finished. Have them show you the issues in person, because I'm telling you right now, things almost always sound worse when you're reading them in a report than when you're standing there looking at them. The report is designed to document concerns. That is its job. But when an inspector is standing next to you saying, this is not a big deal, or this is something I would pay attention to, that context is incredibly valuable. Now, here's something else buyers need to understand. You're literally paying someone to find problems. That is their job. If an inspector does not find anything, that's actually more concerning. I've seen inspectors find issues on brand new construction. Brand new. So when you get a report back with findings, it doesn't automatically mean the house is bad. It means the inspector did exactly what you hired them to do. The key is understanding which findings matter, because not all issues are created equal. There's a huge difference between foundation movement and a sticky door. a major roof issue and a loose outlet, a structural concern and a cosmetic repair. One of the biggest mistakes buyers make is treating everything in the report like it's equally important. It's not. Our job is to separate the signal from the noise. Now, let's go back to additional inspections because this is where strategy comes into play. Let's say the inspector notices moisture and signs of a leak. Now, maybe a mold inspection makes sense. Let's say there are mature trees, older plumbing, or drainage concerns. Now, maybe a skewer soap makes sense. Notice what we're doing. We're responding to information. We're not guessing. We're not spending money just because. We're letting the house tell us what it needs. I had a buyer once who ordered almost every inspection available right out of the gate. By the time everything was done, they had spent well over $2,000. The funny part, the general inspection showed the home was actually in very good condition. Most of those extra inspections were not necessary. And then the transaction fell apart for an entirely unrelated reason. That money was gone, which brings us to what I think is the most important part of the inspection process, the negotiation. Because inspections are not just about finding issues, they're about knowing how to use the information you discover. Getting your offer accepted is step one. The inspection is step two. And sometimes this is where the real deal gets made. I had a buyer under contract on a home that looked great on the surface. During the inspection, the inspector noted concerns about the roof. Nothing majorly obvious, but enough that we wanted another opinion. So we brought in a roofing contractor. The contractor confirmed the roof only had a couple years of life left. Instead of asking for 100 little things from the inspection report, we focused on the issue that mattered most. We negotiated a credit. My buyers got the house, they controlled how the repair would eventually be handled, and everyone moved forward. That is using inspection strategically. I've also seen the opposite happen. A buyer receives a report, gets overwhelmed, creates a repair request with every item listed, every loose handle, every missing screen, every minor maintenance item. The seller immediately gets defensive. The tone of the entire transaction changes, and suddenly we are creating conflict over things that don't really matter. The best approach is usually focusing on what matters most. Health and safety concerns, major systems, structural issues, significant repairs. Because if you spend all your leverage on small things, you often lose leverage on the big things. Now, here's something many buyers don't realize. When an issue is documented and presented to the seller in writing, that information often becomes something they may need to disclose to future buyers if your deal falls apart. That gives you leverage, because if you walk away, the next buyer may discover the exact same thing. When it comes to negotiations, you generally have two options. You can ask for repairs, you can ask for credits. Personally, I usually prefer credits. They're cleaner, you control who does the work, you control the quality of the repair, and you are not relying on someone rushing to fix something before closing. Now, I want to be clear. The seller does not have to agree. This is still a negotiation, but asking is not the problem. As long as everyone is communicating and acting reasonably, you're in a strong position. At the end of the day, you need to know what is your line, what are you comfortable with, what would make you walk away, what would make you move forward. Because if you don't know those answers ahead of time, emotions usually take over once that inspection report arrives. And that's when people make poor decisions. The inspection process is there to protect you, but it's also one of the most powerful tools you have as a buyer. Use it correctly and it can save you money, uncover issues, and help you make a smart decision. Use it incorrectly and you can lose a great house or buy one you shouldn't have. That's why having the right agent matters, someone who can help you understand what actually matters in that report, what doesn't, and how to negotiate effectively. If there's one thing I want you to remember from today's videos, it's this. Do not treat inspections like a checklist. Treat them like a strategy, because the goal is not finding a perfect house. The goal is understanding exactly what you're buying before you become an owner. And if you are in the market to buy a house and you do not have a real estate agent, click that link below and reach out. I will respond within 24 hours and I can help connect you with a real estate agent that does business just like me.